Awesome. So we are joined by the true legend that is Mr. Paul Ince from Like-Minded Media. Paul is one of the guys that sorts out all the videos and does the editing and does kind of all sorts of that stuff for us. But he is, and I say this in kind of the least kind of suck-uppery way, one of the smartest people I've met on social media, as in how it works, how it should work, the kind of stuff that people should be doing, shouldn't be doing, kind of all the different platforms, how that meld together. And we can't really kind of talk marketing without kind of properly talking about social. So at literally no notice, Paul was just here to record for us today. We've asked him to kind of sit in and just kind of talk about the world of social, really. So hello, Paul.
Hi. I've got literally no idea what you're about to ask me.
That's all right.
I have a question.
Neither have we.
I do. I have a question.
Well,
for Paul Ince.
Don't worry about me, we'll stop.
What have you changed your mind about recently regarding social media marketing?
Oh, nice.
And why?
I have changed my mind about probably Snapchat.
Oh, good shout. Why?
Because people keep saying that it's dead or it's dying, and
Instagram stories.
Yeah, and Instagram is the place to be, and that's there's some truth in that. Instagram's the fastest growing. People are moving away from Snapchat, but when I talk to youths, the young people, the customers of tomorrow or today, depending on
nice phrase.
What you do, that's where they are. And I think when we discount Snapchat as a place, then we potentially miss an opportunity to reach those people that have a reasonable amount of spending power at the moment.
That is good. That is good. I always liked using Snapchat, but they just couldn't get any growth or interaction compared to the other channels, which I know is probably responsible for the effort, right? But I think that's what a lot of people had on it when it was first in the top of the hype cycle, right? They were struggling to get like discovery or growth and things, right?
Do you know what I think it is? I think it's to do with the fact that the likes of Instagram and Facebook are so big and so noisy that people, almost like gravity, you're compelled to be there. You can't help but go there in the end, and it feels more resistant to stick with something like Snapchat. But actually, the ad platform is growing. They're doing a lot of work with things like the discovery stuff. I mean, it's changing. And having had my first experience of spectacles a few weeks ago,
of course,
that really did impress me in terms of being able to give other people a first-person perspective on something.
So you mentioned that first-person perspective before, and I think that's really interesting. Maybe you should tell people what that is and how to do it.
Well, a first-person perspective is just about showing the experience of something. So I did a talk last week in the Peak District about tourism and how places that are attractions or hotels, B&Bs, restaurants, that sort of thing, can show people the experience firsthand. This is literally what you're going to see. This is how you're going to experience it when you come in, because people have a lot of choice. They can choose to sit inside, do it all online, and never speak to a real person again if they wanted to. So part of the things that these places have got to do is actually get people off their backside and get out. And so how do you do that? Well, you show them what they're going to experience, and I think one of the best ways to do that is to give them that first-person perspective.
That's good. So it generates FOMO stuff. Right, that kind of thing,
Yeah. It's interesting, it was, going back to Marketed, which was brilliant a couple of weeks ago, a bit more than that. Timothy, I've got his surname, Timothy Armour. And kind of what he was doing, where he went where the people were, where the target market was, but used the people in that target market to sell to that target market. And I suppose that's where the kind of Snapchat does very, very well, because it isn't, I guess, as commercialised. Perhaps I'm being naive there, but it is. Yeah, that's really interesting.
I think that's a good example, though, because the example he gave was YouGov, which is not your most hip and happening organisation that you might think of, but by using young people to talk about responding to a survey, then they're more likely to do it. So you wouldn't expect YouGov to be on Snapchat, and they're not, but they use an influencer, someone in the demographic that they're trying to target to respond to these surveys, to kind of say, well, look, someone is telling you to do it or suggesting you do it, here's how.
So conversely then, what are we getting wrong on social? What are you seeing that is kind of making you just think, look, come on, you got to think about this?
Well, I still see a lot of broadcasting, generic messages, things that don't hit any spot, let alone the right spot.
Okay.
I see a lot.
What sort of thing? Give us a kind of, for instance.
People talking about things like availability. We've got availability here. Don't miss out. We can do this, or we're this, we're that.
Yeah.
I mean, there's a lot of we're so ace. There doesn't seem to be enough focus sometimes on what that problem is that someone's solving. The other thing that I've got a bit of a bee in my bonnet about at the moment is, hey guys, like on the intro to video, someone talking to multiple people. Oh, I just did that.
Did you?
Did that. People talking to multiple people when in reality it's not multiple people watching in one room. You're talking to one person on their phone. So why not talk to that person?
Yeah, God, that is good.
That is a good point.
And I wonder if that sort of feeds back into one of the points of social media. It's not a point. One of the points of it is to feed people's egos, and actually they want to make it sound like they're chatting to thousands of people. And look at me, I'm such a big deal. And I mean, it's something Tim and I've mentioned before. I think is that one of the great things about social media, it gives everyone a voice, but of course one of the worst things about social media, it gives everyone a voice, and it kind of gets people into that kind of that false sense of importance. I don't know, is that a bit unfair, but that's really interesting. And sadly, I think I've probably done that. I bet I have gone out there and kind of gone, "Hi guys, how are you?" Whereas actually, it's person to person, isn't it?
I have to say, I've only that's a recent thing where I've started to think like that, and I don't think it's to do with the fact that someone has a big audience or a small audience, and I don't really think it's about sort of fake influencers or people thinking they're a big deal. I think in our mind's eye when we create these videos, we immediately think about the multiple people that are going to watch, because multiple people are going to watch, hopefully. Yes, you've got an audience of one. Might be just watching this. Not for you, because of me. But
thanks, mate.
But that's what we're thinking about, whereas maybe we should be thinking about the fact that somebody is watching it on their laptop or someone's watching it on their mobile, and is there an opportunity to make a deeper connection with that person, to be more convincing, to be more like their friend, and help them along their journey to get them to do what you want them to do.
So how, God, this is probably an impossible question. How should we do social media? Off you go.
Haven't forgot. I think that if you haven't recently had a review of where you are, now is the time to go and do that. Should you be on Facebook? Are you wasting your time? Is it too difficult now? Because people gravitate towards Facebook. When I run workshops and I ask people, what do you want to learn about? Everyone says Facebook. But it's not necessarily the right platform for everybody. So I think you should have a look at where you are. Is that the right place? Are you talking to the right people? Are you using the right language for that platform? You can get away with a lot more on Twitter than you can Facebook. You can be much more informal on LinkedIn than you might think that you can. And actually, if you do, you will probably stand out a bit more on LinkedIn. So I think always doing a review and reassessing whether or not you want to make some changes is always a really important thing to do.
Yeah, I get it's the sort of thing that everyone says, not a new shiny thing. Oh, you do on Facebook, you should be on this. And I guess people get sucked into thinking, I should be on there because I've heard it and it's right. And actually, I know other people are getting business from it, without ever having to think, well, look, are the people I really want to speak to going to engage on here? What's that to?
Yeah. So, is there also any channels that are hidden gems that you like maybe a Medium or a Tumblr or something that you think, I don't know why people don't use this as often?
Well, that's a good question. I mean, I am a huge fan of writing, and Medium has a good discovery feature. It's a bit like the
for those that don't know,
Medium. Medium.com is a platform that allows you to blog, basically, or write articles about certain topics. It's got a bit of a, not like a self-help theme, but I mean, you wouldn't put a technical, 15 steps on how to create a video on Medium. You would talk about why video might be important, or the ways in which video has benefited your business, or your struggles with entrepreneurship and all this kind of stuff. It's got that kind of vibe. But I think it's a great place to feel connected with someone who writes, and I think you can be more emotional, more intelligent in terms of the way that you write on Medium. But it has a great discovery tool, whereas you are quite likely to be shown to someone who would be interested in what you have to say based on their reading history. So
Yes.
that's good, I think, for discovery. The trick is then to write quality content that makes people sticky to your.
I think one of the things I love about Medium is the fact that, I mean, it's perhaps a weird thing. It tells me how long the reading takes. You know, it's got like 8 minutes or 4 minutes, and again, this is the thing that really annoys me on Facebook at the moment. Is it's just these massive long posts, and I mean, maybe it's me, but is anybody reading that? Is anybody reading? You know when you kind of got to continue reading, and it just suddenly. Is anyone reading that?
They are, if the bit above. I mean, I call it the fold. But I don't know whether we should call it the fold, but the bit before the see more. If that is compelling enough, the first call to action, essentially, is the clicking on the see more.
Yeah.
So you've got to encourage people to do that. You've got to say something that wants to make people click that button. If you're just doing a diatribe of drivel, then it's absolutely pointless. But, you know, in Facebook, there are some unknown features like Facebook Notes, which allow you to do long-form content on Facebook, and they appear differently in the news feed, which potentially makes it stand out a bit more, makes people stop scrolling, because it looks different. And in my experience, if you use all the features of Facebook or all the different platforms out there, you tend to get rewarded for doing that. So that might be something to have.
Yeah, and I guess it is. It's doing one thing well rather than trying to do everything, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, you know, another thing to think about is video. It's a bit of an obvious thing to think about the importance of video and where that's going. But I mean, I'm also tempted, dare I say it, to say Facebook Stories.
Oh yeah,
because I'm seeing a lot more now.
I see a lot more now. A lot more of my friends are doing them all of a sudden.
Yeah, I think
because it used to be just Brian Fanzo for a long time. Pretty much. Yeah, interesting. I think the stories feature, like that format, the stories format, will be like the main format of stories going forward. Like maybe I don't know what time scale, but I have a feeling that will be the format that stuff. And God help us when LinkedIn Stories comes. Jesus Christ!
Can't wait for that.
Here I am.
Anyway.